Welcome, coaches. One of the big questions that we all have, especially in the beginning, is how do we get nutrition clients online? And we're asking ourselves, what is the best or the right content for our potential clients? And then how can we start a conversation from this content? Because from there, we can invite them to a call. But sometimes we think about very, very hard about a post and nobody sees it. Or we spend so much time on our content, we think, well, I'm not wasting this, posting it only once. How can I use it in many different forms? And even if everything works out, people are nowadays really skeptical around online coaches. So how can we actually develop this know, trust, and like factor that they can actually trust us? And Heather and Michelle are here today because they use a really exciting and simple strategy. They're sharing recipes. Recipes, the big benefit is they allow your potential clients to see how the theory translates into actual practice. Because it's literally a step-by-step guide on how to eat healthier. So it's immediate, and everyone who ever got a recipe from a good friend, a family member, it is a great conversation starter. So how did it taste? How did it work out? Did the other people in your life love it? And everyone who has ever done a healthy eating challenge, you can so easily share posts and recipes. And other people will tag you, oh, I cooked this, Coach Robin. What do you think? So recipes have the potential to not only immediately change the way your ideal clients eat, but they also will spread the word about your great recipes and your great coaching. So if you're super excited for this topic, leave a comment. Let us know that you can hear us, that you can see us. And I want to make sure that for those who are watching with us here live right now, you see it's live, or the recording, that you get the most out of our conversation. So if you want to be more visible with your ideal clients and develop long-term relationships and create resources that you can use again and again to deepen the connection with your ideal clients, then you will 100% get a lot of value out of our conversation. But if you think you can only get clients if you have a huge following and sharing recipes is too basic, or you feel like you're giving away too much by sharing a recipe, then you will feel this scarcity and you feel like, oh, that's too much for me today. So if you feel like this, you can stay, but you may not get the most out of our conversation. And I see 7 people already watching us, and thank you so much for being here. Let's start with our amazing guests. Michelle, one of the things that I'm always super curious about is, how did you find this solution and what were some of the mistakes you have made?
Really good question to start off with. Well, mainly, I was in person for so long, and I saw that the questions that people asked me were, what books are you reading? And do you have any recipes that I could use? Well, translate that. After I finished precision nutrition, the level 2, I went, I'm going to take this online. I'm going to do this. And so I went on to Instagram and I did a video about me. I don't even remember what I was making. I was making some kind of recipe. And I just go, yeah, this is a great way to be healthy. I had so many people messaging me saying, could we have the recipe? And I went, I think I just hit on something. But then I didn't know how. I was pretty new to Instagram and I didn't know how to give a recipe. I didn't know that you could even write comments. So people were DMing me and saying, can I have the recipe? And I said, well, if you give me your email address, then I can send you it. Little did I know what a great theory that was. And people were telling me how I can write in the comments and things. And that's when I really hit on it and went, recipes are engaging. Recipes just immediately connect you with people and they start talking to you. And I thought there is something about recipes that I think I've missed. And I know that you said that recipes might be too basic. I firmly believe basic is so doggone cool. I mean, why do all the fancy stuff when we need the foundation, and recipes are the foundation? I think you also asked me what the mistakes were, and my mistakes was just not really the impact of recipes. And I think giving away my credibility by using somebody else's recipes, when doggone it, I make recipes every day. I have great recipes, so why would I share somebody else's recipes when I could have my credibility and share them?
That's awesome. And I just asked in the comments, and I'm super curious for those who are watching, have you ever been asked from a client or a potential client of how can I eat healthier? Or do you have a simple meal idea where I can eat less, but it's still tasty? If you ever got this kind of question, let me know in the comments. And Heather, I'm also curious, you developed this as well. What were your journey to recipes and the whole idea?
Yeah, so I became vegetarian when I was 15, and I didn't have any other like role models, or I didn't know anyone else who ate this way. And so I went to the library and I looked up cookbooks and I found all the ones that didn't have meat, and I made all my little recipe cards so that I could cook my own food. So I developed a large collection of recipes that, you know, I would try out, and the ones I liked I would put into my repertoire. And then when I started being more of a health coach, and I joined PN, and we were learning about hand size portions. All I had known before was kind of the science and the macros and the math of it. And it just didn't fit with my personality to weigh and measure every little thing. So I was never able to implement any kind of tracking. But with hand size portions, when I learned that, I was like, oh, this is a great alternative. And how does that apply to my recipes? So, and I see this over and over in the precision nutrition Facebook groups where coaches are like, how do mixed foods work with hand size portions? How can I coach my clients who want to use their recipes that they're healthy, but how do they track it with hand size portions? And so I saw this gap. You know, you see nutrition labels and they have the macros listed, but what does that have to do with hand size portions? And Brian St. Pierre did a wonderful case study series about how to interpret hand size portions. And I participated, and I found that the responses were kind of all over the map. Sometimes coaches were even a bit unsure how to translate it themselves from just a single case study, much less all their clients' repertoire of recipes. So Michelle and I decided we saw this gap, and we're like, what if we had recipes and we calculated the hand size portions? And so we developed a proprietary method to cross-check what we considered with the hand size portions based on Precision Nutrition's like definitions of them, and cross-check it against the macros to make sure that it lined up with calories, it lined up with the proportions of protein, carbohydrates, and fats. And we were just like, ta-da! We would love to share this with all the coaches so they can refer their clients to these wonderful healthy recipes, as well as contribute their recipes so that they can start to become more visible. And we'll do that work behind the scenes for them of putting together the nutrition information, both in macros and in hand size portions. So that was kind of like how I got to where we are today.
Yeah, and when I heard this thing, this method that you developed, I was super excited. And Lisa mentioned it as well. So this is a huge problem. And when I was a moderator at PN, we always got this question, and the answer was, yeah, you kind of have to eyeball it or use slow eating, but there was not really a great strategy. And I just want to give a quick shout out to Lisa, Trish, who said they also get questions all the time, and Britt mentioned, I work with moms and they're always asking for new recipes. So for everyone who is here, thank you so much. And we will talk about this special method of translating the macros into hand portions for recipes a little bit later in the stream. So make sure that you stick with us. But I want to start the whole conversation with really clarifying one more time what makes recipes such a great content. We touched it here and there a little bit, but I want to keep it really focused. Michelle, what makes recipes such a great focus and content for nutrition coaches?
Well, the big thing is, and I mentioned it, and what I learned is that they're a connector and they're an engager and they're a relationship builder. That's what we're trying to do as coaches online. We're trying to build relationships. And the easiest thing that you can do is talk about food and talk about it as a recipe. It's just huge to get people immediately. I mean, nobody's scared to talk about a recipe. So it leads you into conversations almost immediately. And then they're so doggone shareable. I mean, somebody takes a recipe and they say, I love it, and this is healthy, and this is a different version of what you can do. And then it shares it to another person. It shares it to another person. All of a sudden, you as a coach who created that recipe, your reach has gone beyond your wildest dream because it keeps sharing. And I know there's been cases in my own personal life when a recipe has been shared and somebody calls and says, I think I might want to work with you. And it's just, I can't say that it's huge and it happens all the time, but it happens, and it's a great way to do it. Just like when you write a blog. I mean, how many times when you write a blog does somebody say, oh, I read this and I know I want to work with you? I can honestly say it happens more often with a recipe.
Because at least from my perspective, whenever somebody hands me a recipe, it's like, oh yes, of course, there's absolutely no downside to taking a recipe with you. And the huge upside is that you have another cool meal that you can cook. And Ashley just joined us. And yes, Ashley, we'll talk towards the end of our conversation about a really cool strategy and method of how to turn a recipe into hand portions. So Ashley, make sure that you stick with us until the end. And Heather, I want to continue a little bit. So if you think about most coaches, and you're online and you have your Instagram and your social media, what is something that most coaches don't get about sharing recipes? Where are they missing out?
Well, I feel like, just to carry on with what Michelle was saying, recipes really connect people, not only with the person that gave them the recipe, but there's almost an energetic connection between your entire environment. When you're eating food, you're literally taking elements of the environment and making it part of your own body. And this is a little woo-woo, but it's also the energy and attention and love of the people, all the way from the farmer to the person that cooked that food for you, that you're also taking into your body. So I get a little, woo about that. But yeah, it is a connection between people. So I'm trying to think of where I was going to go with that. When you share recipes, you're extending that even a little bit further. And everyone has to eat, and everyone loves food. And like Michelle said, if you're not sharing recipes and you're a nutrition coach, you're just missing a huge opportunity. I'm a little bit more techie too. And so when you're talking about sharing recipes online, they're one of the kinds of posts that are the most easily shareable, because it says something about who the person is that's sharing it. When people want to share social media, it's almost not about whatever they're talking about. It's saying, I resonate with this. When I share this on my timeline, I'm saying something about me. And so everyone eats, and it's so easy to talk about food you like. And that's why it's so easy to extend your reach. And when someone shares a recipe, the algorithm really picks it up. So it's not just on Facebook. Instagram is even a little bit shareable now with regramming and things like that, tagging. But Pinterest is exploding with recipes. When Pinterest came on about 10 years ago, I started, of course, putting all my recipes in Pinterest because I just really loved the graphical interface. And then I almost did nothing with it. 10 years later, I'm still getting thousands of hits a month. And I don't even really maintain my Pinterest, and the majority of those are from recipes. So it attains a life of its own, and it spreads by itself. When someone's trying to become more visible online as a health coach, as a nutrition coach, just having your name appear in front of someone multiple times, fame and recognition is nothing more than repetition. Mm-hmm. So the more times your name scrolls up in front of someone, the more someone is like, I recognize that name. They obviously must know what they're talking about. There's someone that I could go to that is credible and reputable. And that is the foundation, really, of starting to gain more visibility, so with a wider audience, so that you have more potential of people who are thinking about getting a health coach looking at you a little bit closer.
Yes, and when I think about the very practical reality, when I share a recipe, I'm not writing it down anymore. And this is the step, this is the step. I look for, on Instagram, for example, I send it in a DM, or I send the link to a friend. This is how I share recipes. Oh, I cooked this. This is really cool. Or let's cook this together. I saw this a couple of days ago. So it has turned into this in this online resource that people share around all the time. And I want to highlight for a second Britt's comment here. She says, I think it helps you find ideal clients who want to eat like you. And this really speaks to the idea of you're sharing your coaching philosophy on a plate. And she mentions more, it's not that eating your way is the only way, but sharing recipes shows what you value and what you do for healthy eating. So Britt, this is an amazing comment. Thank you so much. And Trish just sent another comment that I want to highlight. I echo that sentiment regarding Pinterest. Pinterest is also a wonderful search engine to refer your clients to, since you can search by ingredients and keywords. And Trish, we are going to talk about search engines a little bit later in the conversation, but you already are on a great path. You already know what you're doing. So I want to continue a little bit more here, because we're talking about why this is good and blah, 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 but I want to start to get real. And Michelle, the question for you really is, what's the next step? So, okay, I'm convinced recipes are cool. I want to share them. How do I get started sharing recipes?
Well, I'm going to backstep just a little bit when you said how everything has become really digital. Yep. And, the cool thing was called farm to table. Well, that's great for in person, but I'd like to change it tech to table, because that's what we're actually doing. We're doing tech to table when we're passing out the recipes. And we can just make that really explode. So what do we do when we share a recipe? We say, if you want more, here you add the person onto your mailing list. And maybe you have a collection where you can create a lead magnet where you say, I have a collection of high protein recipes, or I have a collection of vegetarian dinners. It's just a way to get people to whatever site. And you, as a coach, we have to have a place where people can come to find us so that they can make the discovery calls, the strategy calls, whatever you want to call that. So you use a recipe to draw people in, to connect with them. You have a place where they can find you and find more, where you can collect the email and then possibly have a strategy call. Mm-hmm. If that was the answer, if I followed your question.
And maybe because I know some coaches are not just yet ready with the website. Let's imagine, I think, okay, that's a cool idea. I have a social media account and a couple of people following me. Do you have some strategies around how can I turn this healthy food that I'm cooking today into a social media post? Do you have some tips?
Oh, Heather, do you want to take it or do you want me to take it? Because there's so many different ways.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and take that one?
Okay, so you could talk about the ingredient. You wouldn't even have to say the recipe. You could talk about, an ingredient. One of the things seasonal now, like people probably have so many zucchinis in their garden right now, if they're garden, that they don't know what to do with. So you could say, hey, you want to know some healthy recipes on zucchini. So you talk about something that's relevant or seasonal. I know it's NFL. Tonight is the first night of the football games here. Everybody's excited. What are some healthy tailgating recipes? What are some things that you could do and still be healthy, feel healthy, but participate in a tailgate? There's so many, you can just brainstorm different ways to do it. And it doesn't have to be giving away that recipe. It could be contact me to get the recipe. And you're just talking about those ingredients. You can take videos of it. I mean, I saw recently that TikTok has a cookbook called TikTok recipes. I mean, that's how explosive recipes are. Taking videos, taking pictures, taking process photos, anything you can imagine about the creation of a recipe, the ingredients of a recipe, people love it and it's out there. Even saying, do you have another recipe about this? Or what did your grandma cook? What was it like this? You can create a whole deep health on all subjects about a recipe.
Yes, I love it. And one of the ways that I really enjoy seeing recipes is on Instagram, for example. You see the final product and it looks super inviting, and then there's a little message, see how to cook this in my story. And then you're inviting people to watch the story, and then you have this breakdown. And I mean, everyone has done this. Let's do a quick picture. And if you're doing reels, something that I find so funny is this click thingy, where you have the raw ingredients, you snap, and then it's almost ready, and you snap and it's ready. And it's so easy, so quick. So my challenge for everyone who's watching, what is one really, really simple way you could use a recipe as social media content today? Let me know in the comments. But I want to drive a little bit further, because I'm curious, Heather, what are maybe some of the best recipes to share, or what is maybe something that we have to, well, it's live. So what's my question? How do I get my recipes seen? Let's go there.
Mm-hmm. So people are trying to build their viewership on whatever social media platform. And that's great. You start out with your closest circle, friends and family, and then slowly you add people on. One of the most challenging things that I had found is I was connecting with a lot of my peers, which that's great. I love to collaborate with my peers, but they're not my ideal clients. So how do you even reach beyond that? When you're using search engines, that's great. You can put it on your own website. You can SEO optimize it. You can take all your own videos. You can try to put it on the Instagram and the TikTok and the, Pinterest, and do all the things. And that's how you're extending your reach to more people. But that's can be slow, and it takes a lot. It takes a lot of time. Time, which maybe that's not people's greatest skills and strength, is to generate social media posts. It also takes a little bit of time to stop during the preparation of a recipe to take those process photos. It also takes a little bit of insight, maybe a little bit of training. While our phones have excellent cameras and video cameras. Sometimes the lighting can make or break whether a photo of some food looks like really appealing, where it's going to be scroll stopping, where Google Images is going to pick it up and put it like on the top most desirable things for people to look at when they're searching. So as part of our collaboration, we are inviting people to, maybe you do have a website, maybe you don't have a website. Don't let that stop you. Don't let your current reach stop you from starting to share recipes. We are developing a viewership of people who are your ideal clients. Health coaches are contributing to public-facing content, and you can do a small amount. Like, it would take a lot to have a new recipe every week all by yourself, to put together all the social media and repurposing so that it's not just a once and done throwaway effort. When multiple people come together, like maybe you only have to create one recipe a month, one recipe a quarter, but then you're still getting the consistency and the momentum of multiple people working together, all putting it on the same social media channel. And I might be jumping ahead, but when people are posting to our website, we're promoting them as a coach, and there's multiple places on every recipe and article where we're inviting the viewer to connect more closely with that coach. If you like this recipe, view this coach's coach profile, and you can connect with them there. So we're really funneling traffic to the person's social media.
Yeah, what I enjoy about what you two have built is this: when you're really, really new, or even if you're more experienced, this idea of building a network is so abstract. And you basically have created a place to network with others. So you're building with other coaches together this website and the social media account where more people come together, and you immediately, through the collaboration, you get access to all the other people that are already there. So if you're more in the e-commerce realm, it's almost like buying an email list, but you're not buying an email list. You're actually you're collaborating with other coaches, sharing your own recipes, your own content, but also getting all the insights from everybody else. And what I really like is this: it's not just a recipe, a website where people who are interested in this get a website where they can either refer back to their social media posts or to their website, but they also get your social media account shared. And as everybody knows, if you're getting tagged somewhere else, you're getting more reach. If you're on another another website, you're getting more reach. But it's not just, and that's so exciting, it's not just that you're collaborating with others, but your recipe will actually turn into something really, really cool. And we mentioned this a little bit. And I'm not sure, Heather or Michelle, do you want to explain what happens with the recipe?
Heather, do you want to? We explained some of the hand portion. We also, I'll let Heather do the hand portion because she's heavily into putting that together. We do have, I want to add, and we've kind of glazed over and hasn't mentioned it at all here, I don't think, is we also add a conversation starter, because we know, as with the recipe, if you are a PN coach, one of the first habits they talk about is eating slowly. So what's a great way to eat slowly? Start a conversation so you aren't always putting things in your mouth. So it's very important. And just because I firmly believe in the need to connect and the need to have deep relationships, when you have a meal and you can ask a question and engage in a deep conversation, it not only helps you eat slowly, but it deepens the accountability. It deepens so much stuff. So we do add a conversation starter. We do add a MyFitnessPal, a barcode that you can scan. So if you are logging, it will go, you can just scan that barcode. It will log your portion that you're eating. From there, I'll let Heather, if she wants to expand a little bit more about the hand portion.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about it a little bit earlier, and it's nothing new. It's just that we'll do it for you. You look at a recipe and you're like, okay, here's the ingredients that we're putting together. If it's however many ounces of chicken, however many cups of spinach, and we'll look at that and be like, okay, well, 2 cups of spinach is about this much food, and so we're going to call that a fist. And then we're cross-comparing it with the macro profile just to make sure that the hand-sized portions are going to be relatively congruent with macronutrients. Although they're 2 quite separate ways of tracking, hand-sized portions don't require any kind of weighing, measuring. You can use it with food that you've prepared. You can use it with a recipe. Like if you were to calculate it yourself, is totally fine too. It's just nice to have it kind of done for you. If you're not familiar with it as a client, if you don't have really time to evaluate a bunch of recipes, if you're a coach. And then if you're using hand-sized portions, you can just have your coach tell you, these are your total hand-sized portions for the day that are going to help you meet your goals. And if you're using recipes or you're evaluating your own plate, you can just tick those off for the day. If you're using MyFitnessPal, which is more of a macro-based tracking system, or if you're just saying, hey, I'm just going to record the meals I eat, you can just take your phone, snap that barcode, and it automatically gets logged for you. And logging is one of the most challenging parts of, tracking food, is just writing down everything you eat, because it's so easy to forget little elements here and there. And then if your data is incomplete, you have a hard time making outcome-based decisions. So that's what we're doing with that. But yeah, it's nothing new, complicated, or something anyone couldn't do for themselves if they had the time to put it in. But nutrition coaches are very busy coaching, right? Yeah. Doing some of this administrative back-end work can take up time that should be spent doing other things.
Yeah, and that's why I really want to highlight the amazing work you're doing. So it's not just that you're giving a really real and practical way for coaches to expand their reach to more people. You're also offering the hand-sized portions. And what we haven't really talked about this yet is you're building a complete recipe resource on your website. And whenever a client has a question around this recipe or that recipe, you can go to this website and the hand portions are all the same. So you don't have to calculate them yourself. You don't have to hope that these hand portions and these hand portions are kind of similar, but you can have a solid resource not only for your own recipes, but also for additional recipes. So you don't have to do all the work, because I certainly know, especially from many people that I work with, all this marketing takes away from actually helping people. So you're so distracted calculating a recipe that you don't have the time to take on another client. So we talked a lot, and I'm super curious for those who are watching. Are you excited to share your recipes, your favorite recipes, with more people to attract traffic to your social media page or to your website? Let me know by either pressing the thumbs up or commenting yes, 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 because I think this is a really, really great opportunity. In the meantime, I want to quickly highlight Trish, who has been super active in the chat. I'm so grateful for that. First, Trish says she loves the PN poster in the back.
number.
And also, as a solo business owner, your offer, what you're doing, resonates really much with her. Sandra is here, Trish is with us. So we are hitting on something really important. But how can people get in contact with you? How can they submit a recipe?
Great question. I love it. I believe we'll include a link if that's okay with you. We'll include the link, which will take you to just register with Balanced Health Styles. That will. I want to say this. You know that there's some people, just like recipes. Some people are going to like Mexican food. Some people are going to like, something people like cilantro. Some people don't. We might be, the way our philosophies are, the way Balanced Health Styles, that's the name of our business, we might be for some people and we might not be for some people. So when you click that link, it's immediately going to take you into what are our philosophies, what are our visions, and you can decide as a coach, this is something that, yes, I believe in too, or this is something that, no. I mean, when you look at recipes can also be very political if you wanted it to be. If it's not 100% science-based healthy, this is not a healthy recipe. You can do that stuff. We view recipes on a spectrum. You can eat just like PN. I mean, we are PN coaches who love PN. You can eat a little bit more, a little bit less. You have that spectrum to eat. So if you are a coach who gravitates to enjoying that spectrum of eating, those are the recipes that we're looking for. If you have only level 3 clients and they want to be scientifically, this is what I need to eat, we probably are not, and I'll save you the time to even click the link because that is not what our culture is. So it will take you immediately into learning who we are, and then you'll learn how to submit a recipe. And hey, if you're interested in writing about the ingredients or about a blog, you can do that too with us.
Yes, and I left the link already in the comments. And what I so much enjoy about your approach is not this, we have to grow our blog and our website as hard as possible. But you want to make sure that the people who go to your website and who visit your recipes, they are already pre-selected. So you have people who are already interested in a more compassionate, understanding way of eating on a more spectrum. It's not hardcore this, but it's already people who understand the value of habit-based coaching, of slow change. So that means for the PN coaches who are watching this, the potential clients who are watching these recipes are already in your world. They are already your ideal clients. So there's not so much convincing to do why you're a great coach, but they come, see your recipes, and they already resonate with the way you're doing recipes. So I'm super excited, and I see Lisa is excited as well. Trisha, thank you so much for the amazing energy. She just commented, I love that too, the share of the philosophy, and she shares your philosophy. And I see there's still a lot of people here. So I want to open this up for a couple of questions. So for everyone who's still watching us, what questions do you have about the opportunity to being more visible with your coaching, being featured on social media, getting your recipes translated for you into hand portions, and having people send to your recipes that are already your ideal clients? What is holding you back? What are you interested in? Let me know in the comments below. And we have still a couple of minutes with Heather and Michelle to answer all your questions.
Can I just jump in real quick and kind of continue what Michelle was saying? One of our values at Balanced Health Styles is inclusivity. And that is for all different kinds of coaches that share a deep health philosophy and values with us, but it's also for all different kinds of clients. We're really trying to change the conversation about what health is, what health looks like, and try to bring attention to health coaching to people who could very much benefit from it, that are kind of feeling excluded right now because of the all or nothing mentality, because of the aesthetics-based value systems that's associated with nutrition and fitness. There are so many other benefits to becoming more active, less sedentary, if I may even go so far, and to eating more whole unprocessed foods without the need to 100% exclude processed foods. You know, the all or nothing mentality, I don't know anyone who's at the all the time. Even those level 3 clients that are getting like stage ready, you know, competition ready level of performance, they don't even stay at that level of perfection all year round, right? Most of the people in the United States, anyways, I feel like have a kind of a Puritan mindset that it has to hurt to be good enough. And therefore, if they can't be all, then they revert back to the habits that have them at whatever stage of health that they are now, which to a large extent they're not satisfied with, and is going to cause them health problems as they go on in their life. So we wanted to bring this conversation of you can do it a little bit better. You don't have to be at the end of the spectrum. If sometimes you're here and sometimes you're here, and maybe one day you're here, that's great. How many much less days are you at nothing? And that can make a difference over time. Small incremental changes can be incredibly powerful, and it can change people's lives. So when we're talking about healthy recipes, when we're broaching the subject about adding a little bit of movement, as most people are sedentary for a large portion of their day, we're changing the entire conversation away from getting abs, getting a bikini body, you know, like, honestly, who cares about that sometimes?
Yeah, and I personally absolutely love it. That's why it's so important for me to share what you're doing. But I also, Trish says, Heather and Michelle, you are my people. She signed up and she's on your list. And Lisa also mentioned that she's absolutely loving this. So Heather and Michelle, thank you so much for being here, for sharing what you're doing. For everyone else, if you haven't already, check out the link that's in the comments. Check it out, see if the philosophy resonates, because you can gain so much from being part of their approach. It's the visibility, it's social media exposure, it's a collection of hand portion sized recipes and your own as well. And you will be part of this community that drives your ideal clients to your website. And one final question is here, Doa, yes, you can find the recording later on my YouTube channel as well. So for everyone who's still here, thank you so much. Heather, Michelle, thank you so much for sharing what you're doing. I hope everyone has a great day. And again, make sure that you click on the link. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.